The Legend of King Arthur, but with kids. Hey y'all, it's your Twisted Girl next door here. And today, occasionally I like kid movies too, I like movies that aren't always like rated R, but also have some cool plot lines and supernatural stuff. And I think horror can happen to kids as well. We have enough demonic children's stories, so why not some cool supernatural dark fantasy stories with kids who aren't completely screwed up? Which brings me to what I am reviewing today, which is a review of The Kid Who Would Be King. Old school magic meets the modern world in the epic adventure The Kid Who Would Be King. Alex thinks he's just another nobody until he stumbles upon the mythical sword in the stone, Excalibur. Now, he must unite his friends and enemies into a band of knights and, together with the legendary wizard Merlin, take on the wicked enchantress Morgana. With the future at stake, Alex must become the great leader he never dreamed he could be. Okay, so overall, The Kid Who Would Be King is a fun enough movie. It's not super deep, which is interesting because I think it's from the same people that brought us Attack the Block, which had, another total thing with kids being badass and things of that nature, but it had some social commentary going on. And this movie, not so much, not super deep, but it does do a story in an innovative way that many of us have come to know, which is the story of King Arthur. And it does it in a way where it doesn't necessarily fall into a lot of the tried and true tropes that sometimes we see with retellings of this legend. And it does it in a way also that, brings the kids center stage, but I think it's also something where people who aren't necessarily between the ages of 12 to 16 will also appreciate it. It's an innovative movie. And when I say innovative, I mean, let's be honest, the story of King Arthur has been told many times before. King Arthur, Guinevere, please excuse my accent, my horrible attempt at an accent, I should say, Lancelot, things of that nature. And we've seen it before because it's a tried and true legend. It's a very popular legend. It's a very cool legend that's been actually told even when it first originated, fun fact, in a variety of ways itself. There's various versions of canon when it comes to the Arthur legend. And what this story does, it puts it in a modern twist when it comes to reincarnated versions of the characters in the legend of King Arthur, which is a very cool thing. So it puts it in modern time, and I thought it was an innovative plot line. You have this young kid, he gets bullied at school. Some of the kids that bully him might end up being the Knights of the Round Table, and it plays on this sense of camaraderie in a, divided world. So I guess in that sense, there is some depth to it because there is some social commentary in the sense of the world that we live in being divided at this point in time, which one of the things of the King Arthur legend is the idea of the round table of people being equal to each other, that there's not necessarily a hierarchy and things of that nature. And so this movie has a way of infusing that, but not in a way that bludgeons us over the head. Still not super deep, but it has a very good message. The other thing is that it's not tropey. There are versions of this legend that we know, the sensationalized version of, Queen Guinevere cheating on Arthur with Lancelot and things of that nature, which was not in the original legend. And this movie did a good job, and we saw knights that we don't normally hear about when it comes to some of the main characters, the knights that don't always get sensationalized outside of the famous or infamous triangle of Arthur, Guinevere, and Lancelot. So that was good. The effects are really cool. I loved the effects. It had a certain atmosphere to it, not overly done. I'm not a big fan of CGI or overly done CGI, I should say. And the movie did a good job of the effects when it came to the evil Morgana and what she was with the tree and the vines and all this other stuff that we saw in previews and everything. It did a good job with that. It created an atmosphere, but also a sense of wonder with, this fantasy kind of epic thing happening in modern times. Small tidbit was the diversity, which also was a very nice thing. I mean, especially for these movies that are kind of geared towards younger audiences, I think, it's good to have it so that we're starting early on in the idea of getting people used to the way the real world looks, and that we all don't look the same and we come in different shapes and sizes and colors. And I find that movies geared towards younger audiences tend to do that a lot better than the ones that are geared towards adults. I don't know if it's because they just think once you reach a certain age, you're kind of stuck in your ways and you want to be around similar people and similar stories, but there's something about younger set movies that they do tend to be okay with pushing that diverse factor. Maybe it's just the marketing of wanting to reach every single kid, but it did a good job of that. Okay, so the movie wasn't super like deep or anything, and that's not necessarily a con. Like I said, it did have certain messaging though when it came to unification and when it came to just the story of King Arthur, which, like I said, is a story about unification of people with differences and stuff, which, you know, we kind of need in our time right now, to a certain extent. And so it had that, but I do think in some regard, I had expected, I don't know why, for the dialogue and stuff to be a little wittier. It wasn't as, and I get it because, you know, it's a younger set audience, so they can't get really, but I've seen some younger set audience focused movies that are actually quite, you know, highbrow to a certain degree. Not saying this wasn't highbrow, but I don't know, there was something missing when it came to like the comedy in some regards where some of the jokes fell flat or just seemed kind of trivial. No overt trigger warning. There is a reference to alcoholism when it comes to certain characters. No, it's not scary. I think the main villain, Morgana, has some creep factor to her, but it's not a scary story, which it wasn't aiming to be. It's more of a I don't even want to call it dark fantasy. It's fantasy with some dark elements. Yes. I feel kind of bad saying stab approved because this is a younger set kind of movie. So no, don't stab anybody, kids. No, it's not. But it is a decent movie that I think what Excalibur approved. It's Excalibur stab approved. He stabbed. You know, people get stabbed with Excalibur in the legend. So yes, it's Excalibur stab approved. Have you seen The Kid Who Would Be King? What did you think of it? Let me know. Comment down below with your thoughts, or tell me if there's a recommendation for a retelling or a innovative way that someone else has done the Arthurian legend. I don't think I said that right at all. The Arthur legend, let's just go with that, of the Knights of the Round Table. Let me know. Comment down below. And also, be sure to subscribe so that you are the first to know when I post my videos of all things horror, dark fantasy, and all types of great fantastical things. Thanks for watching. Let's get creepy together.